sometimes they can notice and say, it feels like you're changing too much. And you're being this person now with this group and being this person now with this group. And it makes me feel like I'm not sure who you are. And that is a problem for a lot of INFJs because they are calibrating themselves to everybody in every situation. They may come across Welcome, conscious beings. Welcome back to Conscious Patterns. Today we're going to be answering a comment. If you would like to have your question to be answered in a video format setting such as this, just leave a CC to stand for conscious comment next to it, either before or after the question, so I know it's something you'd like to have considered to be answered. Today's question is from Triple Mom, and they say, I'm curious if you'd be interested in doing a video about INFJs who struggle with having both introvert and extrovert in them. There are ambiverts and omniverts. While I have a strong introvert in me, I'm also an omnivert and trying to navigate that. And they say, I'm just trying to understand myself right now. It's been a long, hard, and enlightening road. And that's great. That's what we're all trying to do. Learning that because I'm an omnivert, that my behavior is seen as erratic, irrational, and unpredictable because I'm emotionally reacting to what I'm sensing in my environment, as well as what's going on inside me. As a result, people see me as irresponsible and untrustworthy, and that simply is not true. I'm extremely loyal, hardworking, and have been told by those who know me best that I'm way too loyal for my own good. Sounds like something a lot of INFJs can probably relate to. I'm trying to figure out how to accept that part of myself while navigating my emotions and learn how to not be erratic in my behavior. Thanks so much. So I'm going to be talking about this topic on a little bit bigger video that I'm going to be doing about FE and the idea that people have that it's manipulative. And I'll explain how this ties into my response to Triple Mom. One of the things that almost all INFJs have a problem with is their FE. And let me explain. I've said this before in many of my other videos that INFJs with their FE, that the FE is very calibrated. And what I mean by that is that it's very calibrated to the person that they're dealing with. That's why so many times for the INFJ, they do a really good job of making that person feel at ease because they are calibrating themselves to that other person. That's why for a lot of people, I'm sure if you're an INFJ, you probably heard that people will often say, I feel really calm around you, or you give me a real calm feeling. And that's not because of something we're doing. It is actually because we are calibrating ourselves to them so that we don't disturb them. We don't cause them to feel anything except for what they're at ease feeling at that moment. If somebody's in a sad state, we can go and kind of get ourselves into that area with them, and they feel very seen and very heard. And if somebody's very excited, right, we can feel excited for them and help them feel like they're getting support in that moment for how they're feeling. So we're really good at that. Unfortunately, that comes at the cost of never knowing exactly how you're feeling, because everything is a mirror of everybody else, or everything is a calibration to everybody else. But that comes at the cost of themselves, where Triple Mom is talking about saying people might see me as erratic, people might see me as untrustworthy, but for other people, sometimes they can notice and say, it feels like you're changing too much. And you're being this person now with this group and being this person now with this group. And it makes me feel like I'm not sure who you are. And that is a problem for a lot of INFJs because they are calibrating themselves to everybody in every situation. They may come across as being fake if they play too much into that. And that's why a lot of people with FE, why FE is seen as manipulative. But that's because it is sometimes trying so hard to make sure that the vibe is kept up with everybody and everyone's feeling okay and everybody feels included, that people will feel like that's fake, even though there is a very earnest, it's very sincere. What it is FE is trying to do is trying to keep the harmony, keep everybody involved, but because it's trying to do that sometimes so much, it can come off to other people of you're trying too hard, even though it's very sincere. And so for Triple Mom, I'm going to say, and this goes for all INFJs, it doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on as far as how severely introverted, and there's a lot of us, and that's my video on my message to INFJs. If you haven't watched that, please watch that, especially if you're on the more severely introverted side. There's also the 5 life-changing habits for introverts, but it's going to be the same no matter what side of the spectrum that you fall on, and that is your FE. And because you're high FE, you're going to be repressing FI, and that's a problem because you're so worried about calibrating your FE to everybody that you're never truly, and it's very hard to tell when you are or are not being your truest form of FI. And because you aren't, people might, after a while, go, what's the real you? I've seen you being like this with these people, but seen you being like this with these people, and then you're like this with me. So which one is you? And the thing is, you're like, all of them are me because all of them are me trying to be catering to all these different people. And that's the problem, is who are you? What would you act like if you weren't doing that so much with everybody, if you weren't trying to calibrate yourself so much? And that's what people want to see. And it's very hard. There's something that usually happens later in life for most INFJs, getting into that unconscious function and letting that out. And you can watch my video on that about my journey with it and what I'm doing later in life to try to let my FI out, my struggles with it. And you can watch that right here. So thank you very much, Triple Mom. I really appreciate the comment. I appreciate you being in the comments. I see you often. As you guys know, I read all the comments, try and answer when I can, but I really do appreciate it. I read them all. So thanks so much for being here, and we'll catch you in the next one.